Welcome to the Autosportradio.com 2021 show. We are still coming to you from the Grant King Race Shops at 8155 Crawfordsville Road in Indianapolis. And I say, like I always say, if and when things open up, which they are starting to do, you need to come by here after the 500, of course, and take a tour. It's a working museum, quite a place to see. And today's program is being brought to you by Honda and Honda HPD, the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, the NTT IndyCar Series, the SVRA, McGilvery's Pub and Eatery and Speedway, and VP Insurance. If you have a fan that would like some memorabilia, I got just what you need. You got to go to the Indy500shop.com. If he doesn't have it, it doesn't exist. So check it out, the Indy500.com. Find something you're looking for. If you got a fan, you need something, he's got it. You have computer problems? Well, what you need to know now is that the A+ Affordable Computer now has an office located at 549 Fleming Street on West Washington. It's next to a dentist's office. It's almost on Washington, but they give him a Fleming Street address. If you got a problem, give him a call. See if he can help you. And if nothing else, he can make a house call. Number is 317-328-0766. And everybody's favorite doctor visit, the dentist, of course. So I could recommend the best. The Indy Dental Group, Indy 500 veteran, Dr. Jack Miller and his wife, Dr. Liz Lewis, have a phenomenal practice. Need an appointment, get your teeth checked, I recommend highly. We go there. Number is 317-846-6125. And it is out. Paul Page. Hello. I'm Paul Page. It's race day in Indianapolis. The book is available right now. If you go out to the Speedway, it's in the gift shop in the museum. Get yourself a copy in this Thursday. Paul will be out, and if you find him, he'll sign the book for you. So check it out. Hello, I'm Paul Page. It's race day in Indianapolis. And the VP of SVRA Public Relations has the book out. It's called The Legend of the First Super Speedway. Spectacular book. I've read it. It is really good. So if you get a chance, you can get it almost anywhere. Walmart, Target. In fact, if you're in Europe, you can get it in England. It's available everywhere, and check it out. It's really a good book. You ever wondered why do these people like to ride 240 miles an hour in an open wheel car? Why don't you find out for yourself? Take a ride in the Indy Racing Experience two-seater. You can go online to indyracingexperience.com, find out where they're going to be and when. If you can make it, make yourself book a ride. And in the promo box, put DK1, you get a 50% discount. Or you can call Shonda at the office. The number is 317-243-7171. You know, when it's time to renew your insurance, even the state insurance commissioner says, take a check to make sure you're getting the best price. Do what we've all done. Go to VP Insurance. You'll find you get better coverage for less money. Mike Pardee will take care of you. Give him a call. Tell him what you need, and he'll help you. Number is 317-248-0070. That's VP Insurance, located at 5004 West 16th Street. And if you're becoming a Trans Am fan again, because it's back up and running and really doing very, very well, getting more cars, getting great competition. They just concluded their 2 weeks out in California. So go to svra.com and check the schedule, see where they're going to be running and when. And they also appear most of the time with the SVR vintage cars. So you want to take advantage of them being in an area you can get to and show and be there. And while you're there, you can subscribe to Speed Tour magazine. It's a fantastic publication, a lot of great stories, great pictures, tell you what's going on in the world of SVRA and Trans Am racing. If you have a vintage car, would like one, or you got a vintage car, you need it restored, the Grant King shops can help you on both ends. So give them a call, tell them what you have or what you need, and they'll help you out. The number is 317-820-3595. My guest today is kind of an executive. When I first met him, he was just a member of the communications department. Now he is the vice president of communications for the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. And I am speaking, of course, of Alex Damron. And Alex, I know you're busier than I'll get out. Thanks for taking the time to chat.
I'm happy to be here with you, sir.
Let's start off from the beginning. As you're going through schooling, were you a race fan? Did you want to get into communications? What was your goal and how did you get to where you are?
The honest truth is I grew up a stick and ball sports kid, but did have a healthy appreciation, for race car drivers and what it takes to do what they do. My family had the Indy 500 and the Daytona 500 on the TV every year. But I was a California kid, and it always seemed like something at the time happening in a land far away. But those are some of my first racing memories for sure. Watching the Indy 500 and the Daytona 500. I came out here for school, to go to the IU journalism school, and a buddy of mine in 2008, when I was still in college, said, "You love sports and you're having this Indiana experience. You have to go to the Indy 500." My family's had tickets for years and years and years. We have an extra one this year. Would you like to go? And I said, for sure. I didn't know what I was getting into. When he sent me the itinerary and it said like, wake up at 3 a.m. And start driving at 4, meet friends in the infield at this time, meet back up with his parents at that time. I thought, honestly, if I'm being sincere, it was the craziest thing I had ever seen. But I said, sure. And I had a blast. I mean, from the infield to, I was lucky enough to sit in reserve seating with his family as well that year. It was an awesome race. Scott Dixon won that year in 2008. And I couldn't believe how fast the cars went, how many people were there. I always remember being amazed at how many languages I heard spoken. I remember we were walking to our seats, and I heard Italian, and then I heard Spanish, and of course heard people speaking English as well. But the international flavor of the event really amazed me and was something that I had been unaware of previously. So I had a fantastic experience. I don't think I would have predicted at the time I'd be involved the way I am now. But ended up working at the Indiana State House, and then out in DC for a member of Congress who represented Indiana. And so even when I was out in DC, was still kind of involved with the Hoosier world. And when I was looking to do something different, right before the 100th running of the Indy 500 in 2016, was presented the opportunity to come out here, and I just jumped at it. I wanted to do something that was relevant and that made people happy. And I think IMS and the IndyCar are super relevant, and the racing capital of the world certainly makes people happy. So it kind of checked both those boxes.
Did you anticipate the amount of work involved in making one event a year happen?
So that's a really funny question to ask somebody right before we open gates for oval practice. Obviously, we had the race last weekend with fans too. But no, I knew it'd be hard work. I mean, I'm never the type of person who asks for like a super easy assignment or a normal 9-to-5 job. That's just not kind of my my routine, frankly. But that said, I think I could have never imagined all of the different things that go into making a racing event happen, that go into opening the world's largest sporting facility. We have everything from a solar farm to a massive infield, to our grandstand areas, to the gate area along Georgetown Road. I never could have imagined everything that went into making this place work. So, but it's been fun work. I mean, we have, I think Doug Bowles well, best promoter in racing and one of the best in sports, in my opinion. And he keeps things really fun despite the long hours. And I find that to be really critical. You need to keep a fun atmosphere. I can't imagine working this hard if it weren't fun, frankly.
You went from California, you came all the way to the IU School of Journalism. Didn't California have anything that compared?
It did. It's kind of a funny story. I was an only child, and I was trying to prove to my parents I could live without them. And my mom kept putting in front of me colleges that were 30, 40 minutes away or whatever it was. And I had a friend who'd gone out to IU the year before. She had family out in Indiana. And I visited the campus and just kind of fell in love with it. Does have a world-class journalism school, which factored into my decision. But I've just always been the type of person who takes sort of different leaps. I mean, I remember most people leaving Capitol Hill, go work for a lobbying firm or or another member of Congress or whatever it is. And I remember sending my email saying I was going to work in racing and everybody being like, whoa. So I've always kind of been one to shake things up and do things differently, I guess.
What was it like working in Congress in Washington, D.C.? That had to be a hoot itself.
Yeah, like racing, the hours are long too. I'll tell you that. I really enjoyed it for the most part. The camaraderie of a congressional office it's a small group of people. Working really long hours together, going out to dinner at the end of long, hard days, and so I really liked. It felt like a team sport in a lot of ways, and that part I found really enjoyable. I worked for someone who I felt like was out there for the right reasons and was trying to make a difference. And so that was obviously helpful, or obviously, an encouraging experience from that standpoint anyway. But yeah, no, I loved the experience. I always say there's two types of people on Capitol Hill. There are the people who are going to do it for 3-4 years and then go do something else, which was definitely me. And then there's the people who are going to be lifers. And they'll work for members and committees, and then they'll join lobbying firms, or they'll do whatever they do. And there's nothing wrong with that either. But for me, it was more of a short-term experience that I hoped would be beneficial and set me up for opportunities down the line. I think one of the things I learned that has been really helpful at IMS too, because IMS has constituents, right? We've got 30, 40, 50-year ticket holders who we need to keep updated on things that are happening and who we want to feel a part of the process here. I found constituent services in a congressional office was really helpful to me understanding the wants and needs of IMS ticket holders. There's a lot that a congressional office does that people don't think of. They see the commercials that are about hot political issues, but what you don't realize is, you've got a visa issue and you're desperate to go see family. Your congressional office can help you out with that. You have a post office issue or, a medical condition, and you want to make sure that research dollars and grants are flowing to benefit you and your family. You talk to your member of Congress. And so I think there's a lot of stuff that doesn't make the headlines that goes into that I learned. And you gain a lot of expertise on a lot of random things you never thought you'd know about. So it was a good experience.
And I'm sure in the position you're in now, you probably hear from a lot of people, myself included. And I'm here to tell you, I know the man. I talk to the man. I try and get a hold of him to do this. And it's taken me over a month to catch him long enough to say, can you do it? And the quick answer, yes. So we set it up.
It's like Catch Me If You Can. Have you seen the movie?
I'm sorry?
Have you seen the movie Catch Me If You Can?
Yes.
It's a little bit like that. If you catch me, you got me. So caught me, and now here we are.
How has your job changed since you became a vice president of communication? You got elevated. How has your responsibility changed now in your new position?
I think the main difference is just sort of the level from which I'm looking at the playing field. We want to be world class at the racing capital of the world and at IndyCar too, in every way that we can be. So it's sort of provided an opportunity to step back and say at a really big level, how can we make things better and help grow and extend the sport and the brand reputation of the 500. So we've been really focused, through the leadership of Mr. Penske, Mr. Miles, Mr. Bowles, Mr. Fry, Allison Millington, who you know well, and is just an unbelievable resource for us. We've been really focused on, big ideas and things that we can do in a bold way, in a better way. So a lot of improvements to the media center and trying to make that facility be as world-class as possible. A lot of work in my role relates to making sure IMS and IndyCar are as connected as possible. We've had, and I think this is amazing, 5 winners so far this year from 4 different NTT IndyCar Series teams, which I think is amazing, and a lot of young talent. So as we look at the Indy 500 and as we look at the IndyCar Grand Prix and of course the NASCAR IndyCar weekend, we're trying to stay as connected to the series as possible and figure out how IMS and the racing capital of the world can be a global platform for extending the IndyCar brand. And I think the new role that I have has allowed me to dig into that a little bit more.
I find it interesting because I've heard from a number of people who attend meetings when Mr. Penske is in town, and he meets with almost everybody, that he's interested in what everybody has to say, whether they're talking about something that has nothing to do with you and what in your department. But if you have an idea, he'll listen to you, because he's smart enough to know that everybody in one department you're talking about doesn't necessarily see something somebody else might see on another side and say, oh, and he's willing to listen. I find that same with Jay Fry. I got to give him that as well. I think he came from a series where the office didn't really care that much, but now he can be approached and talk. And I get the impression Roger's the same way. He'll listen to you. If you got something to say, you got an idea.
We're really lucky with the leaders that we have here. A couple of things with Mr. Penske that come to mind. His work ethic is tireless. He never puts the pencil down. And as knowledgeable as he is, and he is quite knowledgeable, obviously, he's always looking for more information, more ideas, more things that can roll the ball forward, so to speak. He doesn't waste time. And that's something, as the millennial in me who grew up with like the internet always sucking your time,
right,
and cell phones and things like that, he's always focused. And that's been something I've really appreciated seeing in person, and has kind of influenced my, I feel like I've always had work ethic, but Roger has work ethic combined with extreme productivity. And so it's sort of been really, really interesting for me to see when I've been able to him work up close. It certainly made me better. And I know so many people feel that way from getting to meet with him. But he's absolutely, like you said, open to people's ideas. I'm our PR guy, but I've also helped set up gate entry out in gate 1 with Roger and Mark on a Saturday morning in 22-degree weather. He wants people, he takes so much pride in running and being the steward of the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. And he wants everybody to have that same care and that same pride in all of it. And that does mean going outside of your lane and wanting to contribute to it in all ways. And that's been really fun for me. I mean, I'm in my 6th year on the job, but last year was the first time I helped set up the gates. And now I know a ton about that process that I never knew before. So yeah, I mean, he's really an inspirational leader. And Jay, you're right, has done such a good job creating the right framework for the series to attract new drivers and new teams and new sponsors. He's also really innovative and open to new ideas too. And you heard what I said earlier about Mark, Allison, and Doug. It's a really great crew.
I think, in fact, I even said to Mark when I talked to him last week that when he came, a lot of people said, what in the world does he know about racing? Well, fortunately, he didn't have to. He knew how to build things. He knew he took the Pan Am games. He took the Super Bowl and made it successful. He took the tennis and made it, world class and made multimillionaires out of the players in the ATP. So he came with knowledge of what it takes to do what. And I think that's hugely important.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Mark's resume is one that you want on your side in terms of the experience and the results that he's had as you look to help something grow. And I think he has really interesting outside the box ideas. And like Roger, he also studies really hard. And I think he's taken the time to learn as much as he can about the sport, meet all the people who've been involved in it over various decades, so that their input is absolutely part of his calculus for pushing the series forward. So you're absolutely right about that. And I think, I always feel like, even as I look at my PR team, our PR team at IMS, I always think of it as kind of a chessboard. We've got some people who grew up in racing, and their knowledge is extremely helpful to us. They help us make better and smarter decisions, and they help us understand the core fan and the audience that has always been there for us, and how we can show our appreciation every day. And we also have some people on our team that didn't grow up in racing who help us kind of figure out and think about how to expand the base. And I think whenever, and we don't have people leave that often, but whenever we are replacing a role or we have the opportunity to add one, I always think to myself, what does the chessboard look like right now? And I always try to make sure that the balance of having people who really understand the sport and grew up in it, is met with, the idea of bringing people on board who have other life experiences and professional experiences too. You need both. If you lean too heavy in one direction or the other, you lose an audience, in my opinion.
Well, the interesting thing to me is I'm sure Roger, when he bought it, never, ever thought about 2020 and what could happen. But he didn't back down. He didn't stop improving on the racetrack. He continued his improvements. And and I forget what event it was that they allowed fans in. He was out at gate one shaking hands with people coming in.
The Harvest Grand Prix. That was amazing.
That's right. Yeah, the Harvest Grand Prix. And there he is out welcoming those coming in, which I thought was quite amazing, man, of that. He does, you're right. He does care about this place immensely. Of course, after winning it 13 or 14 times, like he said, I know where a victory circle is and I know where pit one is. So that's, I won't get lost. But he's brought a different feeling into it. And somebody you mentioned, I think, is hugely important and very skilled at her job, is Allison Meglinton. I think, bringing her on board was huge. She's really quite the gal and quite knowledgeable.
Yeah, she's just a really great leader who cares about people. And Allison, when you're trying to get something done at 2 a.m. in the month of May, because it'll make a difference, it'll make things better. If she has to stay up till 2 a.m. to get it done with you, whether it's something, that a high level executive would do, like get the final script ready for the pre-race show, or help arrange for a really great opportunity for a driver to meet someone coming to the race or whatever it is, she'll do that. But if the team just needs to get packets put together for the media, and we haven't been able to get to it because we had 9 press conferences that day and we've got to do it at 2 a.m., Allison will be there. She'll show up and she'll help you make sure the packets are ready to go. And that type of leadership is really important. It takes that to get the Indy 500 done and make sort of the zany month of May happen. And she also has a longstanding working relationship with Mark on the Super Bowl and was critical to that effort. And she knows so many people in the community. I think if you look at starting in 2016 with the 100th running, all of the Welcome Race Fans art that you started to see around the community, the grants that help support programs to teach STEM education to children in association with racing. She understands how a community embraces a big event, and she's been really critical to all of that too.
Well, I probably shouldn't say this, but I have found in my years of following the sport and being involved locally, that I think one of the smart moves that was made is they brought you on board. I think what you bring, your experience in a number of things, has got you experience in things that most people in the PR and communication probably didn't have. I mean, you didn't work in Congress and put up with what you put up with there in the request and how to handle it, how to get things done, which is critical. I think, there's nothing worse than calling up and saying, oh yeah, I'll take care of it. 2 weeks later, you're still waiting for an answer. That doesn't happen. If you call your office and need some help, you'll get it.
That's kind of you. I appreciate that.
Actually.
Yeah.
And it's kind of interesting. It's still at 40% capacity, which would mean they're allowing, at this moment anyway, 135,000. And you think, geez, this place usually holds 350,000, but it will still be the biggest attended event in the country this year, in the world for that matter, this year, without question.
Yeah, there for sure. I think, if you step back and you look at the big picture, to have 135,000 fans at 40% capacity, after everything that's gone on in the world means a lot, and I think we are part of course, the return of fans to the Indy 500 and the Indianapolis Motor Speedway means so much. And we're so happy to see, the loyalist fans I've ever had been able to meet. We're so happy to see them come back and return. But I think we always say the Indy 500 is more than a race, and that's truer this year than any other year. I mean, I think we're helping the country figure out how to, in a smart and safe way, reopen. And we're making a statement that, big events can happen and life can get back on track for people. And it's not just about the 135,000 people here race day. It's about hosting fans during the month of May. It's about seeing restaurants on Main Street start to have customers and events start to happen in the community again to get businesses back up and running. All of that matters and is a really big deal in my opinion. We're proud to be part of it. I was thinking, I'll never forget seeing all the people come in for the 100th running.
Yes.
I'll never forget the cannon going off and seeing the live reports from the gates and then the facility start to come to life. That was incredibly special. It won't look the same, but seeing 140,000 people come in for race day is going to have that kind of, especially after being in an empty facility last year, it's going to have that type of feel too. It'll be special in its own way.
Well, I think the things are moving in the right direction. I think, it's hard to sort through. You hear one thing, then the next day you hear something else. So you really don't know what to do. But I think the health people here and the governor have steered the state right. And fortunately, in the next couple of days, I've got the governor scheduled for a chat. So we're going to find out, the pressure he's been under.
That's amazing.
But I think, what Roger and his staff, including yourself, are doing to bring the place back to life again, and all the improvements, people are going to say, look at this, good grief. And of course, there was a bunch of money spent in 2019 on the place, and then Roger has added his touch to it. And, it's amazing what fans are going to see. And plus, as you pointed out early on, in 5 races, they had four different drivers win. I said to Mark, on any given race weekend, there's 8 to 10 teams that can win. He said, no, there's probably 15 to 18 teams that can possibly win. So on any given race, the potential is there, and the quality and the competition is in the IndyCar series, and particularly at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, I think is second to none in the world anywhere ever.
I'm right with you, man.
So, well, listen, I know you got things to do, and I appreciate you taking the time out to chat. You look forward to seeing you out there from time to time. I might even try and call up and whine a little bit, see if I can come up to the media center and say hello to some people.
You're more than welcome to.
But thanks for your time. Looking forward to a great race. Great job you're doing. I'm pleased to have you in your position. And even though it takes a week or so to get a call, that's all right. I call early enough so that doesn't really hurt. Thanks for being here. And we'll see you.
Hey, listen, I tell everybody call early or call late. You're pretty good at both. So, and I'll see you soon, man. And I'm wishing all your listeners an awesome month of May.
Thank you for being here.
Talk to you later. Bye.
My guest has been the Vice President of Communications for the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, Mr. Alex Damron. We have some more guests coming up. I just mentioned the governor will be one of our guests in the coming days. So stick with us. We'll let you know who's on when. Until the next time we talk, Don Kay saying thanks for watching. See you again.